$20 that you gave me because I'm a speaker on a stage. This $20 can enslave my family for generations. A simple and seemingly insignificant loan of this $20 for food or clothes or school supplies can quickly become a complex and insurmountable debt. A slave owner will loan this
an audio spotlight, and it's only $2,000. And you know who paid for it? Your parents, right? Okay, so our monies. Now, the sound that you're hearing is being created in this beam. It almost sounds like it's coming from your head. So let me try to scan the whole audience here so everybody gets to hear this. Absolutely remarkable. Pete, are you getting it? Let's try to one more thing.
Greetings. I have some warnings to all victims of choice in Iraq, and first you have to know that you are completely nothing and just a scarecrow in this gang, and they laugh at you and they made you like a doll. They have each one of them plays with for a while and then throws it, and maybe they give it to their dirty children like them to play with it too. All of them a gang in whom there is nothing good at all. Whether they're elders, juniors, or their branches, you should deal with them all in the same way, which is not to recognize them even those who smile at you among them. They have orders for this and not a tendency, because you are an important person or a person of importance. Also those who smile at you today, tomorrow they will deny you also because of orders issued to them. 3. You have to know that you are nothing and no one knows you, not heads of state, for example, and you are not important at all, and you do not have a judgment or opinion. There are those who take it to imitate your behavior, for example. You can simply try them when you give orders to them to give an amount of $20 million and change all the laws which they know of. Of course, none of them will do this and perhaps play a game with you. They will turn to the side of terrorism or the homosexual security agent. Either remain just a scarecrow of voters they steal and do everything wrong and say it is orders from you or you are responsible for them. 3. You are just a victim. They have slavery and they behave as if they own you as if you were a sheep. They have everything that you think is yours or yours has become theirs, and you do not know everything, which is your phone, email, or internet, or even they gave you a number instead of your name also that you are struggling to rid yourself of them. Here try to discover this. Of course, you know who you are, and you know your position in this gang. A sheep resembles a herd of hyenas here. Is this sheep is one of these hyenas, for example, or does it have a position with them? Why not? What is the reason for the pursuit of her? Is it differences between them and her, for example, or their positions are money, for example? Of course, not here. You know this, but there is a trick that you do not know, which is that they hide the truth and forge attributes and position for you so that they make the cause of harm to you is, because you are a person with whom you have a position, money, and the reason the harm is a competition with you for this position, and this distorts the image of the situation completely. This is why you have to uncover the truth and define yourself as you are. If you really want to rid yourself of them, even if, for example, you were hiding something so that you fell into a delusion period, for example, and schizophrenia, and you started to think that you are something important or have a group you followed him and you are an important person and you think that the group that attacks you is the enemy only, you are completely wrong, but you will regret this, because the group you think is with you and they are the group of adults there and the group that attacks colleagues in one gang, and this you can easily notice that you find the enemy elements there with all the members of the group that you think are a friend. Also there is a demon that lives them both, and he is the reason for all this, so the war in their way is completely lost for you and you have no hope in it because you will be seen by others as a member of this gang and you have followers, money and everything. And what is happening to you? Have you heard that gangs have morals or the elements, one that respects the other, but one steals the other and kills him? Then you are a loser if you enter the middle exist and act according to their laws. The only hope for you is to reveal the nature of the war between you and the gang, which is that you are just a victim to them only, and I am not a party, position, money, etc. with them. And as I told you, I gave you a way to be convinced that you will not lose anything when you disavow them and reveal the truth, which is to ask them to give us some $20 million, and if they tell a lie, that orders to that. God's commands prohibit this, and only thieves and terrorists are those who take from their organization. Tell them to change the laws. They know here. They will not do this, and they do not have any justification for it. By this, you reveal that you are nothing. As much of them as possible, they consider eating and drinking as if it is a salary for you, housing, or taking small sums from them, and they consider this also a salary. Unfortunately, very unfortunately, there is a mistaking the law, because there are those who hear this gang and take the words and not what you say. Outside of the law, for example, when you say that they planted slices for mind control on you and started burning your brain with it, here do you know that they say to the law that you ate something from them or drank or took away money from them or dwelt with them or took something from them, etc. Here the law gives them the right and refuses to speak from you, and he may make you the offender and not them. Notice that the mistake is in this crooked law, which is that it recognizes them and their laws. There are too many legal errors, for example, that such a method is similar to that you go to a zoo. As long as you are outside the crocodile cage, the harm that comes to you is borne by the management of the garden, but if you enter the cage, the responsibility rests on you. This is a good law, but the law took some of it. For example, this gang did not put them in a cage, for example, so that the sea is known to be a danger, and everyone who comes to them they make him a victim of slavery and put on him mind control slides and vice versa. They are among people hiding themselves, and after this they claim that this and that is something else came to them.
I've been making some private videos that I didn't want to make public, and that's because I don't really feel like I know what to say. I've gotten a lot of good comments. I've gotten some comments that implied that they don't believe me and they think that I'm crazy. And you know, I think that there's injustice anywhere. There's injustice everywhere, and I really want to. There's injustice anywhere. There's injustice everywhere. And I really want to...
Suspicious of everyone. They told me I was a messenger from God, and they promised me redemption if I proved myself worthy. They led me down some very dark paths with promises of enlightenment, but all I ever experienced was bitter disappointment.
Family members, others sounded like friends. And there was a lot of celebrity voices as well. People like Will Ferrell, Emma Thompson, Neil deGrasse Tyson, and even our past Prime Minister, Stephen Harper. It was funny when I was talking to him, he was busy telling me I was a brat, because all I would do was bug him, saying like, how are you doing today? And he's like, I'm busy. He'd always say that to me. But if that was real, right? Chosen because I was special. I was hearing up to 30 to 40. Ew, I'm embarrassed. Can we stop this?
3. Health, and those who use it are people who are not specialists, but terrorism and criminals, and it completely destroys the DNA. They are also inside Iraq, and no one asked them from where did you get these money that developed weapons for mind control. Of course, they stole Iraq's money and started using this to develop these treacherous weapons against the people. It is a legal response to what they claim to be the reason for making people their victims. For example, they say they took money from us here. The response: have they been forced to give money to him? Of course, it does not mean that they know, for example, that the victim is poor. I mean, if they consider what they did as legitimate, or because the citizen was taken, some of them had money, housing, food, or drink. Why did they not go and complain about him and say that he drank water or took a loaf of bread? Why did they act and make him a victim of slavery they had? As I said, the error is in the law. His game is the lack of evidence. He knows about a mind control issue, but he knows that the people in Iraq are ignorant of this. Notice the betrayal of the law. Is this the trust? Is this the guardian of the safety of the citizen? So how does a person after this trust anything in Iraq after the law has become a danger? I mean, the guard is a thief. I mean, they do not fear God or international law. With weapons for mind control for it. Now we get to 6, and she is beware of your family completely, as she has become a gangster too, your friends. Of course, this is a very favorite way of the gang, and it is the reason why victims easily fall through this treachery. Of course, this gang has cadres specialized in all the arts of lies and deception and uses advanced technology, so it can easily inflict the victim's family for me. I give an example of the issue that the victim's family are poor people and the gang exploited this, and although it is also a reason, we find other cases in which families have the potential, but they also became with the gang. For this I personally make the reason is the capabilities of this gang in deceiving others. Of course, the family game is simply linked to a lie called knowledge of the unseen, and this is what is called a sacred organization that is given to the victim of choice, and according to the lie that God gave the victim this organization, and made someone guard it and guard the conditions in it, and this person, well, he puts a spy device on the victim, which is a mind control chip on the victim without her knowledge, and this is with the help of the victim's family or friends during sleep, or putting narcotic substance in food or drink, or using other sophisticated speech transplantation methods, and after this, that person will make himself the victim's secretary and remain in command. This gang is will claim that the victim is the leader over it. This is the family game. It is destroying the victim and falsifying a class. He came to her and also killed her in the end, or completely destroyed her brain. Also cut off every financial source for her and completely isolate her. Of course, the issue here is that the victim has nothing to defend and has no way but complete disavowal from them all, and from this who made himself a secretary also repudiate her family in terms of their affiliation. In this gang they understand who lies and claims to be responsible for them. Siksat, or a director or a leader of a tribe, or they are a church and their home is a church, and they all know of the unseen. For example, they also say that the positions that they have are from the victim who also appoint of them. There is a dirty game that wherever the victim goes to a place, the place becomes his or becomes responsible for him, and this is one of the tricks of the devil who he made himself the victim's secretary. Of course, there is one end that is repeated with every victim, which is that God retracts his decision and gives half of the organization to the homosexual security agent, and this is a game that is repeated with every victim that has fallen into the trap of this gang. This gang can also be defined as a terrorist gang that has a leader who hides himself and invents the way the victims of choice is to make them a front for him, is so that he makes them appear as if they are the ones leading this gang, and not he or they are the one who chooses elements for him or registers for him elements or gives him orders while he only delivers them, etc. One of the dirty tricks, his way of disappearing, is something known about him. It is a gang of thieves wreaking havoc with killing, stealing and spreading evil. This dirty charlatan is in hiding and thinks himself clever when he tries to throw responsibility on the head of the choice victims who have nothing to do with him or this gang as a whole, and they have neither half, nor a quarter, nor anything, nor followers, money, nor guard, and they do not give any orders to anyone. Of course, this demon is in charge of the victim's family cell, and he also has cells and branches and has made himself like a person who has a herd of hyenas. Every owl makes a group, become a leader, and this begins to attack the other herds, and this demon, he knows that they are all the monsters of their promises, that they are one who steals the other, but he tries to throw the responsibility on the victim of choice and says that she dwelt in her family's house or another place, and he explains this with what he only wants and makes him orders or choices, while the truth is that the victim is a poor person who does not have 7 net money, for example, to live in a unit. For example, he's a filthy devil who has a gang. 8. Beware of believing another famous lie. It is a lie that you have followers in this gang or members of your family who are with your team, or they imitate your behavior or are your guards, etc. Beware of believing this the lie, and beware of relying on it in your war in the face of this gang. If you rely on such a deception, you will lose completely. It is just a lie too. Every person in Iraq who has followers must give them money. So whoever gave them money and the laws that they know, must ask yourself this question: did God, for example, give them, for sure? No. Is he a friend of yours too? No. Also, why do they not take orders from you when I said changing the laws, that they are just a trap? If you act as if you are a person with followers, then you will become from this gang as well. I became of them. Then why do you publish a video and publish articles and ask for a help with it? If you have all these followers here, beware of believing this dirty lie when another description of this demon, the leader of this gang, is like the director of a terrorist police station and he only wants ruin and destruction. And this is the director of this group, a center, but he invented a dirty method that enables him to achieve his evil goals and at the same time remains far from any danger. This is why he invented the victims of choice game, the unseen game and other tricks as well. He devised his own laws in order to lead this center. Half of the adults in it are the young homosexuals. Of course, this devil has a game that he tries to make the victim with, and it is the laws that he created. For example, I am a person with a lot of experience in managing NGOs, but I have never seen such dirty laws in my life.
فوق قضية يا بلاكي سأتحمله ولن أنا فوق قضية يا بلاكي سأتحمله ولن أنا فوق قضية يا بلاكي تعال عد إلى حيث كنت نفذوا أوامري أو تعاقبوا سأنزلكم إلى رتبة جنود اسكت
Ching, my new secretary no longer takes your orders. And what?
There's no room for mistakes. There's no room for mistakes. There's no room for mistakes. There's no room for mistakes.
ATAT. For example, everyone in this gang, which they called an organization, all of them take orders from one source, which is the test leader, and he is not a victim of the choice at all. Also the financial in his hand, the records in his hand, and the source of the orders also in his hand, is everything in his hand. One of the important administrative elements is that this devil made them a family that he has, and he is the mother or father, and he claims that he loves them all. The head of the choice victim, who has no right to anything and wants her to work with laws that he invented, of course, cannot do this because just working with it becomes implicated with them. Qualified are weak. For example, they also say that the victim must leave the place where she lives if she wants to punish members of this gang or not. Secondly, where does she have money to live in another place? For example, does she depend on his line, the presence of her followers? For example, it is also the same as the victim's family lie that they are trying to impose on the victim and make her responsible for them despite its laws. What dirty game is this? And any organization this is a demon who only has terrorist gangs also has a game that made the victim's family something called a political party organization, or makes them represent political figures as well, and all of them he is the one who leads them and also, as usual, wants to throw this on the victim's head. The issue is clear that he is a devil who deserves punishment. He is a terrorist who has a gang, and this will not leave it at all and remains every day he enters the body of a poor person and claims that the Holy Spirit entered this body. 9. And after a while, he claims that this body has become a misfortune, and this is why the Holy Spirit came out of it in order to go to another person. That is why he follows her, because he is the agent or guardian at the command of God. The foreigner thinks himself clever, perhaps in order to play such dirty tricks. Of course, what happens to the victims of choice is nothing but a catastrophe in every sense of the word, that it is the theft of a person's body, meaning there is a terrorist who placed himself in the victim's body so that he tries to make himself the game hero, so that the victim would prefer himself to this devil first if the victim could getting rid of mind control slides to get rid of this, but this is very difficult in Iraq. The second way is for the victim to benefit from the point of difference in work between him and this devil, so that he announces, for example, defining himself, for example, saying that he is just a citizen and he has no organization, followers, or money. Or a position here reveals the difference between him and the one who tries to exploit his body, but this method also has difficulties in Iraq, among which first the victim has become a completely isolated person so that only one voice says the truth while the gang members, including people he and his friends, all tell lies and forge the truth while they carry out the orders of Satan, because they are elements that also have the victim. A country in which there is also a law needs good devices or institutions to recognize this truth for its so that it ends the game of this devil. But what happens inside Iraq is that wherever the victim goes to disown, he will the members of this gang follow him and go to the party he told him to deceive them or give them money in order for them to change, for example, or they lied like them against the victim, meaning what I noticed is that the devil does everything in order for his lie to survive, which is that he visits the characteristic tenet to the victim, so that he makes it himself, and while he remains as if he is a person far from anything and no one knows him and knows that he is the leader of this gang and he is the one who leads it or gives orders to them and chooses elements and all the records in his hands, is, of course, there is a remote possibility that there is some party that gave to the victim something, but in the hands of this devil, and he did not give anything to the victim and stole everything, but he lacks them by bringing them people who lie to them also prevents the victim's voice from revealing the truth. This is a remote possibility. It is not logical at all, but the truth is something like a scapegoat or a gang leader. He brings a foolish person in order to make him a front for him in order to take responsibility only for all the actions of this terrorist thief and for his filthy, impure gang of the dirty tricks of this filth attached to it is a game of influencing the personality of the victim, and this happens when the victim resists, as he tries to search for an argument in order to leave the victim's body so that it does not. He leaves her and admits that he is wrong, and he is a fraudulent person, but he tries to make it become bad. Of course, I see that the victim faces entire gangs on her own, as if she were a foolish person racing with a car, as he apparently made himself the voice of God and does not recognize any law, and everyone they fear him and the wrath of God if they punish him. Look at the Faris. He struck France and Belgium, and there are animals who betrayed him. Do not take any action. Do you know why? The reason is that they believe that he is a prophet. Dropping America, England, Russia and other European countries, and says that this is a religion and these are God's orders. I declare that I do not recognize this religion at all, and if it is not another religion, then I remain so without a religion at all. That this is a terrorist demon only.
Has not been executed. You did not kill him. I am just able to understand your reasons. So I think your own conscience will be punishment enough. Only I promise you we'll all live to regret this day, all of us. Time to you.
There's no room for mistakes. There's no room for mistakes.
GR-13, this mission has been canceled. I order you back to the cooling chamber. Now!
Orders? I'm giving the orders from now on. We have a mission to complete. Any questions?